Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm Danielle and I'm the owner of Damn Fancy Creations and the Drunk Flamingo Glitter. Today we are going to be using the Cupid tumbler charm from Cami Page Boutique. If you guys have not snagged one of her tumbler charms, you need to go get one. You guys know that I love sculpting items, but for those of you that may feel intimidated, this is a great option to add 3D items to your tumbler that is really simple. Everything you see listed here will be covered in today's tutorial, but if you guys have questions about a step or product I use, please feel free to ask. I always try to come back and answer questions when I can. Before we get started, go ahead and hit that subscribe and notification bell so y'all don't miss out on new tutorials coming up. Also, if you check the description, you will find a full supply list as well as discount codes from my favorite suppliers. All right, y'all, let's get started on this tutorial. Alright guys, so here's our little Cupid. I went ahead and spray painted him with a copper spray paint. I think it was Lucky Penny from Color Shot. And I'm just going to use these antiquing paste and paints to kind of distress him. These paste that I have, this one is like a textured one. They are so old, but I was trying to like use them the best I can. So I'm mixing a little bit of this mint color from Miss Lillian's wax paint. I also get that wax paint or chalk paint, not wax paint. I don't know what it is really, but it's some kind of paint. I really like it. I just purchased, I think 2 or 3 bottles from Brooke and I love it so far. So I'm just mixing that color in with the textured paste to kind of make it a little bit more liquidy. And basically what I'm going to do is layer the paint on our little Cupid, really kind of getting that paint in all of the cracks and grooves, and then I'm just wiping it off with a paper towel. So that way the paint gets wiped off of the surface, but a lot of this paint stays stuck in the grooves and the little lines that you see in his hair and his little, I don't know, his little cloth that is covering his naughty parts. So I'm just applying some and then wiping it off pretty quickly. And I'm really focusing on the cracks and crevices because, as y'all should know, whenever you epoxy something, it's going to smooth it out really well. So if we want these details to still pop after we apply epoxy, then we want to make sure that we have them painted a different color so that they really stand out. And I'm applying the lightest color first. That way we kind of have this as our base, and then we can start to build upon that because I don't want too much of the lighter color showing through, but I do want it visible. So now I'm going in with a little bit of the darker blue that I have. And I use these paste, but if y'all don't have these paste, I honestly don't even think that they're available anymore. I know that I got these on clearance at Michael's probably 2 years ago. So any color acrylic would work for this. Or if you have a chalk paint, or if you have a different kind of paste, that would definitely work as well. And I'm just using my finger because this was pretty thick, so it was really hard to kind of brush on with a paintbrush. So now I'm going in with the gold, and the gold, I just want to highlight some of the parts on him. And my vision for this cup completely changed from the beginning. I was planning on using this little Cupid and just kind of painting him like normal Valentine colors and pairing it with my Kissing Booth vinyl. But the more I thought about it, I really thought it would be fun to do a vintage Cupid. And then I released that rustic floral vinyl, I think a couple weeks ago, and just thought that it would pair perfectly for like a vintage Valentine. I don't know. I'm really happy with how it turned out. I'm so glad that I went this route with my Cupid, kind of like a rustic vintage Cupid. I really, really am happy with how he turned out. I think he's so fun. So now I'm just adding a little bit of black. I did not add too much. When I started putting it on, I thought it doesn't really need too much darkness to it, so I just added it in a couple places. And I tried to like dot his little eyes for like his pupils, and then I didn't like it, so I tried to remove it. But that's basically what I'm doing, is just adding a little bit of black and then just kind of smudging it around with my paper towel or my fingers. So we still get that color, it's just not as defined as a paintbrush stroke would be. We just want him to look like a little patina statue. That was the look I was going for. So then once I got all my colors on there, I just kind of played with the layering a little bit until I was happy with how my Cupid looked. Isn't he so cute, y'all? How fun is he? So now that we have our Cupid painted, this is how he's going to kind of sit on our tumbler. So I was trying to decide how I was going to do the decoration on the tumbler, and I thought this would look really cute on a right angled like vinyl wrap, so his arrow could kind of be shooting down the vinyl. Okay, so now I'm going to show you guys how I make the right angle for my tumbler. So I am basically wrapping my tumbler around. I'm going to mark the height on the vinyl. So this is where the height is, right there. I wrote it out for y'all so y'all would know. And now I'm going to take the vinyl, wrap it around my tumbler, and on the vinyl, I'm going to mark the circumference of the tumbler. So this is my other dot. So from there to there is the circumference. So we have the height and the circumference, and then we are going to connect those two dots with a ruler. Just draw your line. So that's how we get our right angle. And now I'm just going to cut this triangle out. Now we have almost a full sheet of vinyl that we can use for other designs. And I'm just wrapping this around. It looks like it matches up perfectly. And I still didn't know where I was going to put my little cherub yet. But I thought he would be cute, kind of like right there, which is where I ended up sticking him anyway. So now I'm going to get my cup cradle from Cami Page Boutique. I use this for almost every tumbler. I'm just going to use it to draw a straight line. I'm going to peel back the backing of our vinyl, and this is going to act as a hinge. And I don't know how I got this perfect on the first time, but sometimes I get lucky. So I'm just using my squeegee to roll down the vinyl as the backing is removed, and it is literally perfect, almost perfect. And I am like super picky when I come to like lining my stuff up. So I was just rearranging this, moving it over slightly so that I can get it lined up perfectly. And I don't know what the dogs are doing. So now we have our cherub, and this is how he's gonna sit. So I was pretty happy with how this was turning out. And I decided that I wanted glitter to be kind of a vintage glitter as well. So I used this mint green. I don't know the exact name of it off the top of my head, but I will link it in the comments. I also got this from Cami Page Boutique. Brooke is literally like a one-stop shop. She has tumbler tools, tumbler charms, paints, glitter juice, all sorts of stuff. So if y'all have not shopped with her, definitely check her out. We do have a discount code, which is damn fancy, that will save you some money. This is my first time trying these paints. I don't know why I waited so long. They are a chalk paint, and typically I don't like chalk paints that much, but these paints I just really like. And I was doing very thin coats on this because I wanted it to dry quickly. However, if your tumbler is already painted white, like a base coat, which is typically what I do, this would only take one coat of paint to get pretty good coverage. But since this was a stainless tumbler, I am doing a couple of coats so that I get good coverage, especially since the glitter I'm using is white and it is semi-transparent. So I'm going to do a couple layers of paint until I get the coverage as well as it can be. And then I'm going to go in with glitter glue and actually apply the glitter. So I did 2 layers of paint, and then I dried it with my heat gun, not on a high heat setting, just low. And now I am doing a 3rd layer that has the paint and glitter glue mixed in. And I got asked this question on a live one time, if the glitter glue dilutes the color, and I do not notice the color being diluted, which is a good thing if y'all need a little bit extra coverage. So we are applying this paint and glitter glue mixture. If y'all have not used glitter glue from Artistry, I highly suggest it. It's very similar to applying glitter with epoxy. I feel like it smooths out really well, evens out. You don't get any streaks like you do with Mod Podge. But it is definitely my go-to glitter adhesive, probably for the past 2 or 3 years. So I'm being really careful around my vinyl. I know a lot of y'all like to tape your vinyl off, which you definitely can do. I just choose not to. So once we have our paint and glitter glue mixture on, we are going to pour on our glitter. And I'm using white linen. And I opted to use white linen because it is kind of a creamy white, which I thought would go really well with the vintage vibe of my tumbler. And I loved it over this paint. I thought it was such a pretty color. I thought it was just perfect. So I'm going to do one more round just to make sure that all of the adhesive is covered. We're not going to have any wet spots. So once you're happy with your glitter, we are going to let this dry, spray seal it, and then we're going to epoxy 2 times. So after we epoxy, we are going to use the edging tool, also by Cami Page Boutique. This is the low profile option. And I like to heat the rims of my tumblers with hot water. I just run hot water over the rims for maybe 30 seconds, just so that epoxy is soft. I dry it off, and then I just run that edging tool right along the edge of my tumbler. This one had a fresh blade, so it worked so well. I never change my blades, which I should. But look how good this is, y'all. Just cutting through those 2 layers of epoxy. Look how clean our rim is. It looks so good. This is why I use this for every tumbler. So now that we have our rim cleaned, I sanded it a little bit to smooth out any bumps. Now we are going to pinstripe. I just chose this glittery champagne because it went well with the feel of our cup. If you guys did not know, I do have a file on thedrunkflamingo.com that has all of my pinstripe sizes, which are 0.07, 0.05, and 0.03. When I do pinstripes, I just cut one full sheet out at a time. That way I have multiple colors and sizes in case I want to layer them or mix and match them. And these are cut at 12 inches, but when I was wrapping the cup, it was a little bit more than 12 inches. I think it was like 13. So I just needed to add a little piece more to complete my little pinstripe line. And this is the decal or text that I cut out. Cupid, bring me the cowboy. I wanted something a little Western. And I use lined transfer tape for this reason, so I can easily line up the letters. And it just helps me kind of get everything straight on the tumbler. And when I'm trying to line up like 4 lines of text, it can be kind of difficult. But I just kind of do the best I can. See, I struggle just like y'all. And I know there are like ways to do it with like water or Windex or whatever else is out there, but I don't ever think about it or really have time to like get all that stuff out. So I just line it up. It may take me a little bit longer, but I get it done. And I was having issues with my Cameo at the time. I mean, when am I not having issues with it? But I cut these a little bit too deep, so it was kind of taking off the backing with the letters. So that was super fun. But if I ever have letters where the backing comes off with it, I just get my pen and the backing just comes off super easy. So now I'm going to take the transfer tape and I'm going to line it up with the pinstripe on the tumbler. So I know that that pinstripe is straight. So I know that if I line up the transfer tape, it will also be straight. And then I was kind of shifting some things around just to get the beige vinyl lined up with the glitter champagne vinyl. Sometimes I can kind of slide them up a little bit with my thumb So that's kind of what I was doing in this frame. But how cute is this? I love it. So I went ahead and put the E6000 adhesive on my Cupid and let it sit for a little bit. That way it was kind of tacky. And then we're just going to press him down. Now, I also want to point out that when I got my tumbler charm, it did not line up with my tumbler exactly, and his little wing broke off because I was trying to force it on there. So what I did, Brooke suggested sanding the back of it, and I tried that. It didn't work super great for me, but I did warm it up with my heat gun, and then I just kind of held it to a blank stainless tumbler, and it reshaped to that tumbler. So that was super helpful. So if you ever have a tumbler charm that does not lay flush with your tumbler, you can always just heat it up with your heat gun, hold it against your tumbler, and it will reform to that shape. So I also went ahead and added some little hearts to my tumbler because I thought that it needed it. And when I do 3D items or charms or stuff like this on my tumblers, sometimes I like to take UV resin and just kind of go around the outside of the item. That way, if there's any air that is underneath the tumbler charm, it won't pop bubbles out during the epoxy process. Sometimes you'll have bubbles that will form and then they will cure before they pop. So we don't want that to happen. So I just go around the edges with UV resin. And then for this little guy, I went ahead and coated him in UV resin so that I was sure that all of those little cracks and crevices would be covered. So that he already has this first layer of resin on him. It's going to be a lot easier when I go and epoxy him along with the entire tumbler. So I'm just taking a little paintbrush. I'm just squirting a little bit of UV resin on at a time, and I'm just covering all of those little cracks and crevices that may be hard to get with the initial epoxy process. And this brush I use solely for UV resin because if not, I would have like 10 of them ruined by now. So I just use this brush for my UV resin brush, and I try to clean it out with alcohol or acetone as soon as I get done with it. So far, I've been successful at cleaning it out, but I'm sure there's going to be one day where I forget and then I have to trash it. So y'all can see I'm just kind of going around those edges, getting that paintbrush in there, making sure that everything is covered. And once I have him covered with UV resin, I'm just going to cure him with my little UV resin lamp. This is a 200-watt lamp. The last time I checked, they were not available on Amazon. They may be now. I'm going to try to look again. But after that UV resin is cured, I'm going to take him downstairs and I'm going to apply an additional 2 coats of epoxy, and then he will be complete. So here are some finished pictures of our tumbler. I just love how he turned out. I think he is so fun, so cute. I'm so glad that I changed up my initial plan of the typical Valentine colors and went with this rustic vibe. It's definitely more my style. If you guys don't know by now, I love the muted colors, the, I don't know, just like the minty color scheme. It's definitely my vibe. So if you guys grabbed the Cupid tumbler charm and decide to give this a try, please post in my group. I love to see what you guys come up with and what kind of things inspire you to create. But that's pretty much it for now. So thank you guys for tuning in to this tutorial, and I will see y'all next time. If you enjoyed this tutorial or learned something new, please be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Don't forget to catch the next video coming up that was picked just for you. As always, if you're looking for more tips, tricks, or tutorials, be sure to check out my Drunk Flamingo glitter group, my Damn Fancy tutorial group, or my Damn Fancy tribe. All are linked in the description. Thanks for watching.